Hello, Wednesday message post presidential election, even though we're kind of still in it. And we knew there'd be some aftermath about 10 days or so. And it looks like it could go on a little longer than that, but to be expected. I mean, this is how elections go, right? I know that a lot of people are heavily emotionally invested in this outcome for all kinds of reasons. And I have a few things I'd like to say about that I think are important because we get caught up in the external reality, which is we're humans, and so we're guilty of being human. But whenever we have a reactivity toward external events, people, situations, um, maybe we're justified, maybe we're not. That's not the point I'm going to try and make here. But the point is, whatever we react to strongly inside of ourselves is ours. So, and so many times I've had to talk to people about President Trump is a symptom of a greater problem, right? The symptoms always seem to catch our attention if the underlying creative process didn't. And it's funny because I talk to clients all the time about, they say, I have this problem or this problem is going on. And the problem is ultimately the symptom to let them know there's something underlying going on. And if you don't look at that underlying piece, you're not really going to be effective out in the world. You can treat symptoms all day long, but if you don't get to the underlying cause, they keep coming back. Now look at, if you're a person of color, if you're an immigrant, if you're a woman, you probably feel like my well-being is at stake here. I need someone who's more in alignment with me, and that very well may be true on the human scale. But in terms of where your power is and how you can create your life and make life work for you, it has very little to do with what's in the White House. And look, we all have an essence, a soul, and we all come here with agendas to contribute, to heal, to evolve ourselves. And if we divorce ourselves from our purpose and our connection to greater reality, then we're going to feel really upset about what's going on out in the world. And it isn't that sometimes anger can be used productively to move us along on the path to creating new realities on the planet. There's reasons for it. But in this particular dynamic, to me, there's a lot of insanity out there. And again, I don't like the media. I've made no secret about it. I don't care if you're on the left or the right. Propaganda, it's so propagandized. I'm just like, oh my Lord in heaven. Who can listen to that? No wonder we are so divided, right? And the politicians use that to their benefit. But I can tell you, I have many friends and I have clients who are Trump supporters, and they're fantastic people, right? And it's the things we're being told and the programming that's coming. And because I only surround myself with fantastic people. I don't want to hang out with toxic people who are icky. Why would I? But we're telling ourselves that people who don't believe like us, identically down the line, that somehow those are our enemies, and they are not. And I'll tell you what, one thing I will say about, on a Republican point of view, which is so often they feel that freedoms are going to be taken away, or they're going to be forced into doing things they don't want to do. And I know the Democrats might say the same thing, but you just think about this. Just think about it from a child point of view, or however you can relate this story to your life. But if someone wants to make you do something, the government says, now you have to give up your gun. Now you have to, support these families with your tax-paying dollars, or, and I'm not making a case for or against either of those things, but when in your life have you ever felt compelled to join a bandwagon when someone's basically saying you have to, you got to do it, right? You're going to do it or else. When has that ever inspired anybody to join your team ever? So when you think about opposing points of view, when people are forced to do things that they're not in agreement with, how can you expect anybody to like that? What's the normal reaction when someone wants to force you to do something? You push back. It's just human nature. I want autonomy. I want to do my own thing. And conversely, on the other side, in terms of the left, other than people of color, women and minorities and immigrants in general, that those populations unfortunately are targeted in different ways. But again, there's a way to deal with these issues that work and a way that doesn't. It's funny, I was just with a client, we were talking about this topic in a different way, but it's like you can try all day long doing the wrong thing, thinking it's the right thing. It's not going to get you anywhere. Like, when I'm trying so hard, until you connect with what the true issues are, you're not going to make progress. You're just kind of like treading water, So all the emotion expended related to hot button issues is for naught, unless it actually motivates you to take action for the greater good, right? So as we move through this period where, it's pretty clear to me that Biden will win this election. The energy really hasn't changed. It's still there. But even if you've watched any of the poll returns, deeply divided. It is neck and neck close. It's been nail biting. It's been good drama. The one time that TV has actually been interesting for 10 minutes. I didn't watch the election results. I watched very, very little of it. It's not anything that makes my life go up or down. I just want to say, life is hard for everybody. I don't care what your political view is. I don't care how much money you have or how little money you have. I don't care what your relationship status is. I care. Life is hard. And I certainly hope that the people on the left, when Biden wins, that you don't gloat and that you don't, be a good winner. And remember, people are all levels of consciousness and awareness. I can remember one time being in a group. I've done lots of groups, obviously, but this was a rather small one, maybe 12 people. And I had some newcomers to the group, a couple of lovely women, and they weren't very spiritually advanced. And most people who hang out with me over time really advance their spiritual muscle. And one of the people in the group ended up leaving the room momentarily. She was so triggered, if we use that word, by someone else's awareness being less than, and the patience that's required for someone who's not where you are. But that doesn't excuse really being insensitive to someone else and saying, well, you need to be where I am. We're all in different places. And, the way through is through compassion. And people who injure others and are offensive towards others, that's a whole nother sect of, of our culture that exists. But for the most part, America is a good-hearted nation. We're good people. And that's one of the reasons we have good karma, even though we have the history we do, is because we're a generous people. And we really, we open our arms to the world. We open our arms to each other. Just look, whenever there's a disaster or something happens in the States or elsewhere, people just come to the aid. So I just want to say, when this is all said and done, no matter who's in the White House, it certainly feels like Biden to me, exercise, those of you who have the strength and the spiritual muscle to do so, exercise compassion and be a leader. A real leader does not assault, intimidate, and bully. It's not necessary. You got to be the change you want to see in the world. And if you are hitting up, that person is a piece of whatever, or that leader is so whatever, that's not what you want to look at. You want to look at your own reactivity to why you are so upset by it. We're so upset. And, there's two ways to go with that. I don't engage in things I have no control over. Why would I? I'm just going to expend energy. But if you have the ability to engage in some way and make an influence, have at it. But otherwise, the better thing you can do is to remain peaceful internally and remember where your power really comes from. And it's not anything outside of you. So I hope this is something you can partake in well. I guess one final comment about it, and this is an abundance tip as well. One of the ways I've learned how to master being in the abundant flow is learning how to not worry. That those contracted vibrations, they suck the life out of you. They will never take me any place I want to be. And it took some time to develop that skill, but what happens is when you decide to divorce yourself from contracted vibrations and just move into right relationship to greater reality and live there, even as an experiment, life ends up working out much better. Things become easier. Doesn't mean you don't have to move energy around, but you're not in a battle. Okay, so I know I kind of, not tease, but I was texting with a friend this morning and saying, see now, you've been worried about this election, but it will all be done and it looks like it's going in your candidate's favor. And, you just spent the last days, weeks, months worrying. What do you think that did to your overall abundant space, right? So, pull yourself out of the drama, pull yourself out of the toxicity, and your life will improve rather significantly. All right, that's it. Have a great day. Appreciate you opening the message. Like, subscribe, share, and enjoy your night. Okay, bye.